Good evening, students. Today we are going to see chapter number 5, The Snake and the Mirror. This is a very interesting and a comedy type of, you can say, your chapter. So, let me give you a little bit introduction. The story is narrative within the narrative. The writer tells us the story which was told to him by homeopathic doctor. As we have as we have seen from the title, the snake and the mirror are the two most important things in the story. This homeopathic doctor encountered a snake. The snake fell on the doctor. When the snake saw its reflection in mirror, it was more interested in that, and the doctor's life was saved. Now, let us start the explanation. Okay, so first para, first of all, has a snake ever coiled itself round any part of your body? A full blooded cobra. All of us fell silent. The question came from the homeopath. The topic came up when we were discussing snakes. We listened attentively as the doctor continued with his tale. It was hot summer night, about 10 o'clock. I had my meal at the restaurant and returned to my room. I heard a noise from above as I opened the door. The sound was a familiar one. One could say that the rats and I shared the room. I took out my box of matches and lighted the kerosene lamp on the table. So now, let me explain you. The homeopathic doctor, the homeopathic doctor is narrating the story. He asked the writer and the group if anyone had ever been wrapped up by a cobra snake. The audience became silent due to the fear of the cobra snake. Then then the doctor narrated his story that it was a hot summer night, almost 10 o'clock. He was returning home after having dinner at the restaurant. As the doctor was opening the door of his room, he heard a noise from above, but he did not react because he was used to such noises. He was used to listen this kind of noise. It was the noise of rats. There were many rats in his room, so he was used to the noise. Next, there was no light in the doctor's room, so he lighted the kerosene lamp with a matchbox. He had taken a small room on rent. Okay, then अब ध्यान से सुनना वापस सेकंड पैराग्राफ. The house was not electrified, it was a small rented room. I had just set up medical practice and my earnings were meager. Meager means very small. Okay. I had about 60 rupees in my suitcase and also possessed one solitary black coat which I was then wearing. Okay. So, meager जैसे मैंने बताया small और possessed का मतलब होना होना ठीक है और solitary का मतलब होता है single. ठीक है. So as he had just started his medical practice, he was earning very less. That is why he was living in such a shabby, dirty condition. He told the writer that he had just 60 rupees in his bag. Further, he added that he had some shirts and dhotis to wear. He also had black colored coat which he was wearing at that time of incident. Now, next passage. I took off my black coat, white shirt, and not so white vest and hung them up. I opened the two windows in the room. It was an outer room with one wall facing the open yard. It had a tiled roof with long supporting gables that are rested on the beam. Gables मतलब जो पहले पुराने के जमाने में रहता था ना ऐसे ऊपर upper part of wall below the sloping roof उसको gables बोलते हैं. That rested on the beam over the wall. There was no ceiling. There was a regular traffic of rats to and from the beam. I made my bed and pulled it close to the wall. I lay down, but I could not sleep. I got up and went out to the veranda for the little air, but the wind god seemed to be have taken time off. So now he removed his coat, his shirt, and his vest. He says that the west was not so wide, which means that it was dirty. Now, what do you mean by word yard? The yard is an open area like garden or veranda. Then he opened the windows. The room which he had taken on rent was on the outside of the house, and one wall of the roof faced the garden. The roof had tiles on it, and the gable was supported by beams. Inside the room, there was no roof. The beam on which the gable was supported was full of rats, which went in and out of the room through it. टेकन टाइम ऑफ ऐसा एक वर्ड आया था तो टेकन टाइम ऑफ मतलब टेक अ हॉलीडे या टू टेक अ डे ऑफ ऐसा होता है. So now he set his bed near the wall and he laid down to sleep but could not sleep. It seemed that wind god had taken time off, means that as the wind was not blowing, the wind god had taken a day off. He was on a holiday and so wind was not blowing at all. He had gone out to get some fresh air because he did not have any fan or cooler in his room and he was feeling hot. Now, next, fourth passage. I went back into the room and sat down on the chair. I opened the box beneath the table. मतलब नीचे जो beneath होता है उसको मतलब होता है नीचे. And took out a book, the Matrina Medica. I opened it at the table on which stood the lamp and large mirror. A small comb lay beside the mirror. So he came back to his room and sat on a chair. And he opened the box under the table and took out a book named Matria Medica. He kept it on the same table on which a lamp, a mirror, and small comb was lying. He opened it and sat down. Then one feels tempted to look into mirror when it is near one. I took a look. In those days, I was a great admirer of beauty and I believed in myself. Look handsome. मतलब खुद की ही तारीफ करते थे. कोई बोले ना बोले वो अपने आप को मिरर में देखते थे और ऐसा बोलते थे I am handsome. So as he was sitting in front of mirror, he looked at his image in the mirror. He says that he was a great admirer of beauty. As he was the young man, he liked he liked to appreciate beautiful things and wanted to improve his looks to look more handsome. I was unmarried and I was doctor. I felt I had make my presence felt. So as he was unmarried and was doctor too, he was a eligible bachelor. So he wanted to make people know that he was also available for marriage. Right. I felt picked up I picked up the comb and ran it through my hair and adjusted the parting so that it looked straight and neat. Again I heard that sound from above. So he combed his hair trying to set them properly, and when he was combing his hair he again heard the same sound from the above but again ignored it. I took a close look at my I took a close look at my face in the mirror. I made an important decision. I would shave daily and grow a thin mustache to look more handsome. So he looked carefully in the mirror and decided that he would shave daily. Shave मतलब दाढ़ी बनाना, ठीक है? And grow a thin mustache, mooch, because thought that he would look better and more handsome with it. I was after all a bachelor and doctor. Bachelor मतलब जिसने शादी नहीं की होती है, सिंगल जिसको आजकल की भाषा में सिंगल बोला जाता है. Then the doctor repeats that he was not married and was doctor too. So he wanted to say that he was supposed to look very handsome. He was supposed to be good looking so that he could get better match for himself. Better match मतलब अपने लिए अच्छी बीवी ढूंढ सके. I looked into the mirror and smiled. It was an attractive smile. I made another earth-shaking decision. Earth-shaking matlab very important. I would always keep that attractive smile on my face to look more handsome. So, what he appreciated himself and said that he had an attractive smile. Another thing that he had decided was that he would always keep smiling because he looked better when he smiled. The doctor was being ironic when he said that to keep smiling was an earth shaking decision. I was, after all, bachelor and doctor too on top of it. Again came that noise from above. On the top of it का मतलब होता है to add on something. Again, he is stressing that he was bachelor and to add it to it, he was also a doctor. He thought that he had a lot of value, and that is why he wanted to look handsome. Next, I got up, paced up and down. Sorry, I got up, paced up and down the room. Then another lovely thought struck to me. I would marry. I would get married to a woman doctor who had plenty of money and good medical practice. She had to be fat for a valid reason. If I made some silly mistake and needed to run away, she should not be able to run after me and catch me. Now, paste means what? Walk and valid means logical. अब ये वाला जो पैराग्राफ है और आप लोगों को बहुत हंसी देगा. क्यों ऐसा है? Because he got up from chair and started walking up and down in the room, and then he decided one more thing, that he should marry a doctor woman who had lots of money and good medical practice. मतलब बीवी के पैसों पे खाने वाली चीज हो गई है तब. Further, the doctor thought that he would marry a fat girl, और रुपयाज सोच रहा था कि हमेशा वो मोटी लड़की के साथ शादी करेगा. For that he had a logical reason also. He reasoned that if sometimes he makes some mistake and his wife chases him in anger to hit him, she will not be able to run fast and catch him if she would be fat. तो इसलिए वो क्या चाहते थे कि अपनी जो उसकी जो वाइफ हो वो थोड़ी मोटी सी हो. ठीक है. With such thoughts in my mind, I resumed my seat in the chair in front of table. There were no sounds from above. Suddenly there came a dull thud as if a rubber tube had fallen to the ground. Fallen to the ground. Surely nothing to worry about. So thinking all these things, the doctor again sat down on the chair. Now the sound had stopped, but all of a sudden something fell down, making the sound of a thud. It felt like some rubber tube had fallen, and the doctor did not bother about it. Even so, I thought I would turn around and take a look. So, but then he thought of turning around to see what had fallen. No sooner had I turned than a fat snake wriggled over the back of the chair and landed on my shoulder. The snake's landing on me and my turning was simultaneous. Now, what do you mean by word wriggled? Wriggled होता है crawled. Then simultaneous मतलब एक साथ, happened at the same time. Now, what does he wants to say? As soon as the doctor turned, he saw that big snake fat had crawled over the chair and sat on his shoulders. The timing of doctor's turning around the snake and landing of his on his shoulder was the same. Next, I didn't jump, I didn't tremble, I didn't cry out. There was no time to do any such thing. So he did not panic, he did not jump, or he did not tremble, matlab shivering. He did not shiver, he did not scream. It happened so fast, so instantly that he did not have any time to react. Next, the snake slithered, ये बहुत ही slithered along my shoulder and coiled around my left arm above the elbow. Slithered मतलब क्या होता है, वो जो twist रहता है ना, twisting and crawling motion of snake, उसको slithered बोलते हैं. The snake moved in such a way that it wrapped itself on doctor's left arm like a coil. The hood was spread out and its head was hardly 3 or 4 inches from my face. So it was in such a position, just 3 4 inches away from his face, that if he would have moved slightly, the snake could have beaten him. Then it would not be correct to say merely that I sat there holding my breath. I was turned to stone, but my mind was very active. So doctor says that he was not only holding his breath, but had turned into a stone, just like a statue. Although physically he was still like statue, but his mind was very active. He was thinking what he should do next. The door opened into darkness. The room was surrounded by darkness in the light of lamp. I sat there like a stone image in a flash. So There was darkness all around him, outside the room, inside the room, and it was all very dark. There was only single light, the light of lamp, and in that light he was sitting like a statue. I felt that I felt then the great presence of the creator of this world and universe, that God was there. इसका मतलब होता है कि as he was in trouble, he started feeling the presence of God. He was not able to do anything, so he started thinking of God. Suppose I said something and he did not like it. I tried in my imagination to write letters outside my little heart the words, "Oh God." So he decided not to speak, lest he should anger the snake. In his heart, the doctor was praying to God to save his life. There was some pain in my left arm. It was as if a thick leaden rod, no, a rod made up of molten fire, was slowly but powerfully crushing my arm. The arm was beginning to be drained all of strength. What could I do? So as the snake has coiled itself, it had wrapped itself around his arm. It was experiencing a lot of pain. He was feeling as if thick molten rod mode made up of lead was crushing his arm and breaking it. He felt helpless. He could not do anything to save his life. Then, at my slightest movement, the snake would strike me. Death lived 4 inches away. So, strike मतलब attack करना, lived मतलब hide. ठीक है? So he knew that if he moved a bit, the snake would attack him. Death was very near. It was sitting at a distance of 4 inches. Suppose it struck. What was the medicine I had to take? There were no medicines in the room. I was but a poor, foolish, and stupid doctor. I forgot my danger and smiled feebly at myself. Feebly means weakly. So he thought that if snake bite him, then what would he do? Which medicine he would take, and then he recalled that there was no medicine in his room. He felt that he was poor, foolish, and stupid doctor. He was feeling very weak, and as he did not have any way to come out of this situation, he smiled at his foolishness. Then next, it seemed as if God appreciated that. The snake turned its head. It looked into the mirror and saw its reflection. So, the doctor felt that God appreciates the doctor's realization of his mistake. Something favorable happened and the doctor's life was saved. The snake moved its head to other side and saw the mirror. It looked at the mirror and it saw its own reflection. Now next, I do not claim that it was the first snake that had ever looked into the mirror, but it was certain that snake was looking into the mirror. So इसका मतलब है कि it is not possible that any snake had never looked at itself in the mirror before. But yes, this snake was looking at itself in the mirror, and the doctor was surprised because the snake was looking at itself in the mirror very carefully. Was it admiring its own beauty? Was it trying to make an important decision about growing a mustache or using eyeshadow and mascara or wearing a vermilion spot on its forehead? So, was it admiring his own beauty? मतलब he was thinking that maybe it was admiring its beauty. वर्मिलॉन spot मतलब जो लाल बिंदी हम लोग करते हैं ना उसको बोलते हैं. The doctor imagines that the snake must be imagining different styles like he was thinking few minutes back when he was looking at his face in the mirror. He thought maybe snake was thinking of growing a mustache or maybe of wearing eyeshadow and mascara to look more pretty, or maybe it was thinking of wearing a red color bindi on its forehead. Then next, I did not know anything for certain what sex was this snake. Was it male or female? I will never know, for the snake unwound itself from my arm and slowly slithered into my lap. From there, it crept onto the table and moved towards the mirror. Perhaps it wanted to enjoy its reflections at closer quarters. Closer quarters matlab to get a close look. So doctor did not know whether it was male or female snake. and he said that he will never come to know this because just then it crawled from his arm and moved down into his lap. From there, it jumped and started crawling over the table. It crawled very close to the mirror and started looking at itself. The doctor thought that maybe Snake wanted to look at itself and have a closer look at its appearance. Next, I got up from the chair. Sorry. Uh, I was no mere image cut in granite. I was suddenly a man of flesh and blood. Still holding my breath, I got up from the chair. I quietly went out through the door into the veranda. From there, I leapt into the yard and ran for all I was worth. So, doctor said that he was no longer a mere statue made of a stone. As soon as the snake crawled and got down from him, he came back to life. As the snake had crawled out of doctor's lap, he stood up. Till now, he stopped his breath because he was scared of snake. Now he quietly moved out of the door, jumped from the garden and ran away. ठीक है, समझ में आ रहा है सबको? Few each of us heaved a sigh of relief. Somebody asked, "Doctor, is your wife very fat?" All the people were listening to Doctor's story got relief and took deep breath after they come to know that he was saved. And someone from that group asked him whether his wife was fat. No, the doctor said, God willed otherwise. My life companion is thin, greedy person with a gift of sprinter. Sprinter क्या होता है जो 100 मीटर की रेस में मतलब दौड़ता है ना उसको बोलते हैं. Greedy person मतलब a thing or person resembling a tall. बराबर और thin मतलब पतला होना. So he replied that his wife was thin and tall, just like Reed planned, because God did not want his wife to be fat, so she was thin and could run very fast. Someone else asked, Doctor, when you ran, did the snake follow you? Another person asked from the group asked him whether the snake chased him. Next, the doctor replied, I ran and ran till I reached a friend's house. Immediately I smeared oil all over myself and took a bath. I changed into fresh clothes. The next morning at about 8:30 I took my friend and one or two others to my room to move my things from there. But we found we had little to carry. Some thief had removed most of my things. The room had been cleaned out, but not really. The thief had left behind one thing as final insult. ठीक है अब इतना बताता हूँ वापस. So doctor replied that he ran till he reached his friend's house. There he took an oil massage, took bath and wore fresh clothes. He did not know if snake had chased him or not because he did not look behind. And the next day around 8:30 in the morning, the doctor along with two of his friends went to room to bring his belongings from there. There was not much stuff to make. Not much stuff to make मतलब क्या हो गया कि उनके पास लेने जैसा कुछ था ही नहीं. Okay, now someone had stolen most of the things from his room but left behind one thing. He thought that the thing which he left was to insult him. ठीक है और वो क्या इंसल्ट था वो देखो. What was that? I asked. The doctor said, My vest, the dirty one. The fellow had such a sense of cleanliness, the rascal could have taken it and used it after washing it with soap and water. So someone had stolen. तो क्या पूछा, किसी ने वैसा पूछा कि क्या चोरी हुआ, तो sorry क्या बचा हुआ था. The writer asked the doctor what was the thing which the thief left behind. He replied that he left the vest मतलब गंजी, ठीक है, which was dirty and was hanging on the wall. He added that the thief was so much into cleanliness that he left the dirty vest there only. He says that naughty thief could have taken it along with him, washed it with soap and could have used it. Did you see the snake the next day, doctor? The doctor laughed. I have never seen it since. It was a snake which was taken with its own beauty. So someone asked doctor if he saw the snake next day. He laughed and replied that after that night he never saw that snake. Maybe the snake was attracted towards its own beauty, and that is why it looked so carefully in the mirror. That's the end of the chapter, students.